Hello, everyone. I am Melinda, and this is Noble. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Tonight, I'm going to be doing things a little different than my previous videos. I'm going to be speaking from Genesis tonight, and the reason that I picked Genesis was because, and actually, when I woke up this morning, as I was waking up, the verses when Lot's wife looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt, they came to my mind. So I knew God was leading me there. So once I went there, I read, to just see exactly what God wanted me to do. I knew he wanted me to do a word, but I was just trying to get, everything downloaded. And originally I thought right when those verses came to me, I'm like, oh, okay, you want me to name the video Don't Look Back. So you must be, trying to download something in me of that sort. But as I read the beginning of it and I was reading all around it to just, just see exactly what God was, telling me. And that wasn't the title of the message. The message title that he has given me is called The Intercessor. The Intercessor. So I'm going to go straight into Genesis, and I'm going to read Genesis chapter 18, verses 20 through 27. And they read, then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin is so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. The men turned away and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it for you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right? The Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Then Abraham spoke again. Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes. So, and then, it goes on, and then he says, the 40, the 30, the 10, it goes on. But what really stood out to me is when it said, now that I have been so bold to speak to the Lord. Sometimes you have to just be so bold and speak. Just speak it. Like, God, this is your word. God, this is what you said in your word, and speak it and believe it and know it. God knows his word, but sometimes the enemy tries to get in your mind and, make you doubt it possibly, or make you think that it's not going to happen. And you have to speak God's word back. Like, no, God, you have said this. God, you have spoken this. God, you are this. So I know that you're going to do this, just so you can let the enemy know, no, my God is a good God. My God is an all God. He can do all things. There's nothing too hard for my God. So that is really what I got from reading that the fact that he was bold and he did speak. He didn't just sit back and just say, oh, okay, we'll go destroy it. I'm here, I'm safe. No, he interceded for the righteous. He interceded. He was an interceder for them. He wasn't there, so he could have stayed quiet. But sometimes, even if you're not in the place and you see like your friend, your neighbor, or anybody maybe going down a wrong path or got themselves in something that isn't good for them, you can intercede in prayer for them. You can speak on their behalf, and God will hear you and he will intervene. And that leads me to when the two angels came and they had, spoken to Lot in Sodom, because, they had saw that they were tripping over there. They was really crazy. So God was going to destroy it. And he had spoke to them, and he had told them, who do you have anyone, that's here with them? Make sure that you let them know, like, we're going to destroy this, to get them out. And he went and told his son-in-laws first, and that they had to leave, but they took it as a joke. Some people, you can't, and they just took me to, you can't help in everyone, but make sure that you still go speak it, still go say, if God has you saying something to somebody, still say it, still speak the word. Now, if they receive it, they do. And if they don't, they will have to pay those consequences. But long as you do what God is telling you to do, long as you are still, being led by what God is telling you to do, and you are in obedience to what He is saying, that is what you are supposed to be doing. So then the angels had urged Lot to get his wife and his 2 daughters out. Now Lot did hesitate, but the angels, they pulled him out of the city, and they told him that he needed to flee quickly. Now we know in it, what also stood out is that he said, hurry up and go quickly, because we can't do anything until you are out. We can't do anything. So that just brought me back to when Abraham was interceding for this. He was interceding for Lot, for the righteous. He was already interceding, and God had promised that, God had granted that. What God said will come to pass. What God has said, he will not go back on His word. And so that just brought me to that as well. Like I can't destroy this. We can't destroy anything, because we promised that we would get the righteous out. Now, as we know, they said don't look back, and we know that Lot's wife looked back and she turned into a pillar of salt. Now as far as the key points that I got from looking back, it's like sometimes people will look back on, when God brings them out of relationships, they'll look back on the relationships, on different mindsets, on bad habits, on jobs. Sometimes they'll think, well, God, maybe I need to go back to this job because I'm not making enough where I am, and not knowing that God is a provider. God will provide all of your needs, but that is really trusting and believing that God is God of all, that He can bring you into a bigger and better opportunity. If He's brought you out of it, He has something bigger in store for you, but you have to believe that for yourself and know, my God is an all God. So if He has brought me out of this situation, He has something bigger for me, and I have to stand firm in knowing that my God is a provider. My God has provided. And sometimes, you may have to just look back over your life and know, I know that was God, because God is in all things. So, but sometimes things really stick out to you. Sometimes, tragic situations, and it was nobody but God that did that. And sometimes you just have to think on those things and know, He brought me out of that, so I know He'll bring me out of this. He didn't bring you this far just to leave you. He will never leave you. He's always there with you. So you just have to believe and know that God is for you. So I say all of that just to say, don't look back. Don't look back on those habits. Don't look back on those mindsets. You may have been forgiving people, but then you're like, I'm tired of forgiving people. People ain't changing. No, you keep having that forgiveness in your heart. You keep having a pure heart. You don't allow other people to change who you are. If God is changing you and molding you and stripping you of those things, you stay clear of those things. Don't allow certain situations to bring you back to that place that God has brought you out of. You don't have to be in bondage. You are free from bondage. When God brings you out, you are free indeed. You don't have to go back to that at all. So that's just what I want to say about not looking back. And I also wanted to touch on just being like an intercessor. When I just was reading it, I was just saying like, okay, so Abraham was really like, he was an intercessor, because the situations didn't even have, it wasn't going to cause any harm for him, but he was still interceding on behalf of others. And when I looked up the definition of an intercessor, it is a person who intervenes on behalf of another. And that's exactly what Abraham was doing, in that situation. And then as I was reading those chapters, God had told me go back even further. So I was originally reading chapters 18, 19, and 20 and 21, but He told me, no, go back some more. So I had went back to chapters 13, 14, and I began to read them. And this is, even before Abraham became Abraham, he was Abram at the time. And that is when Abram and Lot first separated, that's when Lot went to Sodom and Gomorrah. That's when he picked to go over there, because where they were at, it couldn't hold their possessions of everything that they had. So Abraham, the next chapter, Abraham rescued Lot, and it was just so profound. Just even the title of it stood out to me, because as I was reading the chapters, before that, in the order I was reading it, which was, backwards, because I went backwards in the chapters. But as I was reading it, I was like, oh, so he like rescued, that's what I was thinking in my mind as I was reading it. And then for me to go back, and then that's the title of it. It was like, oh, okay. So he's been interceding. He's been, being there on Lot's behalf already. He was already there when he had went in, and he had, got Lot when they had took Lot, when they had war and took Lot's possessions and all that stuff. He had went and intervened, and got the enemies in his hands, and he gathered Lot and all of his possessions from the war. And so some people might have, in the natural, be like, oh, well, they ain't got nothing to do with me, so I ain't in no harm. He over there, allow them to do that. But no, if God has called you to be an intercessor for someone, be obedient to what God is telling you. Abram knew his assignment. Abraham knew that God was with him. God was going to be there with him when he went to fight them in the war. And he knew he already had the victory, because in God you already have the victory. You don't have to be fearful or think, oh, God is not, he's not going to be here for me. I'm not equipped for this. No, in God, if God sends you to it, you are equipped, you are qualified, you can and you will have the victory. There's already victory in God. There's no other result but victory in God. But you have to believe that, and truly believe that, and truly know that my God is a good God. God has brought me to this. I have the victory. I'm equipped. And so then you ask yourself, okay, God, who am I? Who am I? Because you have called me to this. So who am I? Show me who I am, God. Because I don't feel qualified, because at times you don't feel qualified for certain things that God brings you to. But in that, you just say, God, you called me here, so I know I'm qualified. So show me who I am, God. Open my eyes to see who I am, God. Open my ears so I can hear you, right, God? Just be so intentional in your prayers, and God will do exactly that for you. And he will start downloading things to you, and start showing you how he's going to do this, and how he's going to be with you, and how to just take one step and just do it. And he will be there with you the entire time. And you don't have to be in fear. You even pray that, like, Lord, break the fear off of me, break the anxiety, break the doubt off of me. Me personally, my prayer life, I have been so intentional with it, because I know where God has been taking me, and things that he have been having me intercede for other people, for friends, for family members, and how being so intentional, being pure hearted, and not putting my own opinions, but speaking and praying on behalf of what God is telling me about them, and showing me who they are. And, so I just say that, if you are an intercessor, don't think that, if God has been leading you to pray for people, and, you should be praying for people anyway. That should be in your prayer as well. When you are in prayer, that should just be automatically that you are praying on behalf of other people, and not just self, that you are, praying for others, and not for your own gain, for them, because you want them to have their salvation with God, or you want them to break that habit, or you want them to break that negative mindset. You want better for others. That should already be in your prayer life. So it should just, be in you anyways. But if it is not, it is good that you do pray for others. Pray for others, more than you pray for yourself. God has you. Of course, you can pray for yourself, but it is good to pray for other people. To pray and to see what God wants you to do. Because if he is calling you to be an intercessor, don't think that if he has not done it now, that he's not going to do it. He is not on our time. God doesn't even, go by time. He does it when he wants to do it in his perfect timing. So you just have to believe and have faith. God, you have me interceding for this person. God, I want my son or my child to be off of drugs. God, I want, whatever you are interceding for, you have to believe in prayer and with faith that God has done it. He is doing it. He is working it out behind the scenes. You might not see it, and you might, and we know that we don't even walk by, sight. It's faith. We can't even, the things that we see in the natural, we can't even, accept those, or even say, oh, well, that's what it is. We don't walk by that. So just keep praying and keep knowing that your prayers are heard. So, God is telling me that to let someone know that your prayers are answered. Your prayers are heard. He hears you, and that he is working on your behalf, and that it is going to be victorious for you. That person is going to, come back to God. That person is going to, that situation is going to turn around for the good of God. And you just keep shining your light. You just keep doing what God is telling you to do, and that is all that you need to do. Keep shining and doing being in obedience to God. Keep in prayer and keep believing and having your faith that God is a good God, because he is a good God. He is a great God. He is a God that can do all things. There's nothing too hard for him. There's nothing that is impossible for him. And so just really believe that. And I just encourage someone, don't stop praying. Don't stop fasting. If God has told you to fast. If God has told you to do something, be in obedience to him. And even if it seems crazy, even if it seems like, well, why you got me doing this? Why you got me going? Why you got me driving over here? Why you got me calling this person? Do it. It's a reason. It's a reason for it. Listen and believe that God is speaking to you, and God is telling you, and he is the one that is leading and guiding you, and just do exactly what he is telling you to do. If he is telling you to be that intercessor for someone. So, that's really, all I wanted to speak on today. The key points. This is kind of like a two-part message that I'm going to do at a later date, but this part is what God wanted me to release on tonight. Just being an intercessor and knowing that God hears you and God is working it out on, for you. So, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for all my new subscribers. I appreciate you. Thank you for all the likes and comments. I do, see the likes and the subscribers that I have, but I'm not able to see exactly who it is. So I would really appreciate if you guys would comment, let me know who you are so I can know, who's watching. And definitely, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for just taking the time out to watch my videos. And I just thank you all, that, God has drawn you to watch my videos and support. It is, I do appreciate you, and it's not going unnoticed by far. But thank you all. I will be back as soon as God sends me back. He has, downloaded a lot in me, but he has been, telling me exactly what he wants me to release at the time he wants me to release it. So I just pray that the person that this is for, they do watch it and they do receive it, and with ears to hear exactly what God is speaking. And but you will the person that is for, I truly believe, and I know that God has had me speak it for someone specifically, and I pray that you do receive it exactly how God wants you to receive it. And I just want you guys to have a great Saturday night. Bye guys.